much did one of the most expensive Mastiffs cost? What does a dog look like that's capable of fighting against a bear? What distinguishes the Kettlebirn? Why do they call the Finnish Spitz the king of barking? Today, I'll tell you about the rarest dogs in the world. Future dogs. Tell me, what do you imagine our favorite pets will be like in 50 or 100 years? Do you think that the same shepherd dogs, Labradors, and Terriers will still be walking beside us? That'd certainly be great, but there's already every indication of a couple trend shift in terms of dog appearance. Scientists have conducted experiments using artificial intelligence that made a guess as to what the new dogs, a hybrid of a husky and a fox, might look like. It turned out to be something fantastic, as if taken from a movie or some comic book. Do you think this result is realistic? Write your opinion in the comments. Well, we'll go further and take a look at the Tibetan Mastiff, one of the oldest breeds of dogs whose representatives were watchdogs in Tibetan monasteries and also helped nomads in the Himalayan mountains. This dog has been surrounded by myths and legends since the very first mentions from ancient times. Almost all authors of writings about it noted its incredible strength, both physical and mental. It came to the point that even the bark of a Tibetan Mastiff was considered a highly valuable and unique gift of nature. Experienced cynologists showing interest in these dogs simply cannot be counted. The Tibetan Mastiff has a thick and even hair, because of which the dog can be easily kept in the open air almost 24 hours a day at any time of the year. An adult dog weighs from 130 pounds to 175 pounds, with the same height only in inches. By nature, the Tibetan Mastiff has an incredibly reserved, calm, and self-confident dog that perfectly gets along at home and becomes the best guardian and friend for people at the same time. And even if there are other dogs in the house or somewhat nearby, even if they're bullies, the Tibetan Mastiff, as a true king, will not pay attention to them. In its intelligence, the Tibetan Mastiff strongly resembles the German Dane. Dogs of this breed are intelligent, but they can be quite stubborn. From the owner requires an excellent understanding of dog psychology. However, if the Mastiff is brought up well, it will make a first-class night watchdog. This dog's activity hours are at night. This means that the Tibetan Mastiff can hear any, even the most insignificant rustle. As you understand, no potential thief will go unpunished. I suggest that we don't talk about the outstanding strength of the Tibetan Mastiffs. I think everything is clear here. Let's better discuss a story that took place in China in 2011. One of the multi-millionaires there bought a small Tibetan Mastiff. At that time, it was not even 1 year old. Guess how much the man bought this dog for? $100,000? $200,000? Or maybe $500,000? Well, he didn't. The man spent over $1.5 million on the dog. The 11-month-old puppy, named Big Splash, has become one of the most expensive dogs in the world. His first advantage was his great weight. He was larger than his litter mates by 20 to 30 pounds. The second, and I would say main advantage, is, of course, his bright, fiery color. It's especially revered by all residents of China. Would you like to have such a Mastiff for yourself? New Guinea Singing Dog. If our previous guest was known by almost everyone, then this dog will definitely need an introduction. This is a wild dog from the forests of New Guinea that appeared on its native island 6,000 years ago. Probably ancient people used it for hunting, although it should not be considered tamed to the end. That's why, by the way, this dog is not called referral like the dingo. Despite the fact that the New Guinea Singing Dog has been around for a long time, people only discovered it in the 20th century. Because of this, it's still considered poorly studied. For example, people know almost nothing about its diet. On the other hand, who cares about the dog's diet when its name says it's a singing dog? Although, to be honest, I can't imagine who thought of calling it that and under what conditions. It doesn't sing at all. It's like a mix of wolf howls and police car horns. At the same time, the dogs singing, in quotation marks, have not forgotten howling or barking, but they prefer these ear-splitting sounds to all other vocalizations. Strangely enough, some people like it, and these people even try to take the dog with them and start breeding them at home. Let's just say they don't do it well. Guinea dogs are overly cheerful and hyperactive. so it's physically difficult for him to calmly follow commands. And if you add to this the natural wildness, it becomes clear that it's easier to make an MMA fighter out of an ordinary pet cat than it is to make a pet out of this singing dog. Fila Brasileiro. If any of you have never heard of this dog, you've probably forgotten its name. It's impossible not to be happy about this face full of wrinkles, because the dog, bred in Brazil, is famous both for its loyalty to the owner and amazing working characteristics. Fila Brasileiro weighs at least 88 pounds, and their height is usually 2 feet to 2.5 feet. It's believed that these beauties defended homes and herds from dangerous predators and were ready to fight even against wild animals. Although, why is it were? They're capable of it even now. The dog does not take bribes, it's not susceptible to distractions, it's very tough, hardy, and loyal to his master. The Fila Brasileiro never hides its distrust of outsiders. It even came to the point that when this dog shows aggression to the judge at a show, it's not considered a reason for disqualification. They have such a peculiar temperament. Speaking of peculiar, our next guest, Kettleburun, is one of those guys. This outdoor enthusiast from Turkey has a bifurcated nose that makes it very easy to distinguish him from other dogs. It's said that the nose of this pointer split because of close inbreeding at the dawn of the breed back in the 13th century. Anyway, today the double nose can surprise only those who meet this breed for the first time. Other people have long since gotten used to it, and they don't see it as anything unusual, and certainly not terrible. The dog has not lost its sense of smell at all. Moreover, it seems that with this bifurcation, it's become twice as good, and now it can be a first-class hunter. Over many centuries of working side by side with humans, these dogs have added police, rescue squads, and even security guards to their resumes. Naturally, it would be impossible to take it all out on sniff alone. The Kettleburun is aided by iron discipline and amazing workaholism. If other hunting breeds are ready for labor and defense only from the age of 1.5 or 2 years, the Turkish pointer has been working since 6 months. But if suddenly the owner of the dog does not need so much use from his pet, the Kettleburun will gladly accept this gift and will serve as a simple, loyal, and kind pet, which relates well to children and perfectly listens to commands. Carolina Dog. Remember I mentioned dingoes earlier today? Well, it's time to talk about them in more detail, but only on the example of the Carolina dog, or as it's also called, the American dingo. Having this four-legged friend means going back to the roots, because with him, everyone will learn what it is to tame a wild dog from scratch. Does one have the willpower? Frankly, it's unlikely. The Dixie Dingo, as this animal is otherwise known, is a dog found in 2 formats, wild and domestic. The former prowl the forests and swamps of the southeastern United States, still as free and uninhibited as they were thousands of years ago. The latter descended directly from the savages and only recently began to serve humans since the second half of the 20th century. Many of you will think that there's nothing strange about this. Almost all modern dogs originate from ancestors who lived hundreds and thousands of years ago. That's probably what American dingoes are like. Although this theory sounds promising, in reality it's not like that at all. The main reason why the Carolina dog is so unruly is, in the first place, because of its incredibly confusing origin. To give you some idea, even genetic tests cannot shed light on the truth regarding their roots. There is only a theory that the first Carolina dogs originated about 12,000 years ago. For the next 9,000 years, they evolved in isolation from humans. Following that, the confusion began. As North America was explored, people began to bring different dogs with them. They were huskies, sled dogs, just about everything. Because of this chaos, there was a confusion in the genes because the Carolina dog began to mate with both. It took some good qualities from someone, whereas from others, on the contrary. However, it remained the same as it was before to a large extent, a wild one. To ensure a comfortable life, these dogs need a spacious yard of a private house and an experienced dog handler. City noise, communication with children and strangers, house rules, muzzle – these are all elements of modern life with which Dixie Dingoes have not yet managed to make friends. Karelian Bear Dog. This is the name of the northern hunting dog breed, a type of Spitz about which we're going to talk now. It seems to me that no matter who you ask about the Spitz, everyone will say with certainty that it's small and incapable of anything doggy. But only these people will not even think about the fact that, in fact, among these dogs there are such serious fighters, dogs that can hunt even large animals like bears, moose, and wild boars. A strong sense of smell allows the dog to detect prey. But what about instincts? After all, if a dog finds someone, it's a law of nature that he has to eat them, isn't it? Actually, that's not quite true. When hunting large animals, the Karelian bear dog will never rashly attack them. It only runs up close to them, spots the enemy, and starts barking to attract the attention of its two-legged friend. The dog realizes that the man is able to cope with the prey on his own, and the Spitz will taste a piece of delicious meat on arrival home. People who have had to work with these detective dogs say that when going hunting with them, you should be ready for exhausting runs from one target to another. The Karelian bear dog is ready to run all day long through the forests and search for enemies. Aggressiveness to people breeders has been eliminated, so the four-legged never harms family members. But to others, to especially impudent guests, the dog cannot boast such an attitude. In this case, the fighting spirit always takes over. Speaking of aggressiveness, when a Karelian bear dog goes hunting with a man, it does not touch the enemy because it counts on a two-legged friend. If this dog is alone and has an enemy, let it prepare for the most aggressive, barbed, and insolent attacks in its direction. And here is what doggy to call aggressive language does not turn the tongue. So it's a Bedlington Terrier. This surprising dog breed from Great Britain was bred for hunting. Although purely in appearance, it looks more like an exhibition model. This is how it happens that the first impression is deceptive. Sweet, and as it seems to be, a harmless dog becomes a severe and unforgiving hunter who's able to deal with any small animals like rabbits, badgers, and otters on one or two occasions in the past. In addition to that, it was also a successful cat-like rat hunter. Bedlington Terrier excelled so much in this that it was even specially launched into mines full of rodent colonies. A little time would pass, and the dog would come out of there with a mouthful of pests. It's said that this dog was crossed with a greyhound, a whippet, and some other hunting dogs to improve its hunting skills. They thought that they were about to make the Maine rat hound, but aristocrats intervened and spoiled everything. The graceful, bold but small dog appealed to the rich people of that time, and they began to breed the Bedlington Terrier as a companion dog. Thus, today the predominant number of these dogs are not severe hunters, but the most common posers. Finnish Spitz. Next, we have a Spitz, and again, not at all small. This is a Finnish Spitz that can in just 1 minute… Stop. I almost spilled the beans about the most interesting things concerning this dog. Let's go step by step and find out what kind of dog it is and what it's for. Finnish Spitz is a breed of dog originated from the aboriginal dogs of dark red color that inhabited the territory of Finland and modern Karelia. Today, the Finnish Spitz is used in many different ways, both as a pet and as a hunting companion. As many years ago, these four-legged creatures considered their main weapon to be their voice. Spitz runs ahead, finds prey, and barks, indicating to the person the location of the animal. By the loud noise, hunters find the dogs and put a fat point. Thanks to their intelligence and endurance, Spitz can learn to find almost any kind of game: forest birds, roe deer, elks, fur-bearing animals, badgers, raccoons, and even bears. But most interestingly, their tricks don't end there. Unlike other dogs, the Finnish Spitz can bark incredibly fast. Yes, as you've already realized at the beginning of the story, I talked about this very thing. Dogs of this breed can bark up to 160 times in a minute. It got to the point that people started organizing contests and competitions among these four-legged dogs. While some dogs amaze everyone around them with their speedy barking, others are used to prove their superiority in battle and going all out. I'm talking about a great British dog breed called the Otterhound, if anything. This four-legged friend is quite large and has a stiff coat. Originally, it was bred for hunting. This is because the dog has a strong and stout body with long muscular legs. As you already understand, it's the legs that have become the main calling card of this dog. Thanks to them, the Otterhound manages to chase the enemy both on land and in the water. From this point of view, the dog has truly unique characteristics, especially thanks to its fat, tough, double-layered coat and strong webbed feet. That's about it. Write in the comments what breed surprised you most of all. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel.